If you are in a season where your sales are slowing down or no one's buying your stuff, you're going to want to listen to this episode more than once, because today I'm going to teach you exactly how to figure out what's wrong in your sales system, why people are not buying, and more importantly, how you can actually make subtle tweaks that will boost your sales and cash flow coming up. Okay, familia, so I am super pumped for this episode because we're going to dive into some nerdy stuff that I think is going to make a huge difference in your business. And so the first step in fixing a broken sales funnel or sales system, or figuring out what the heck is going on because maybe your sales have slowed down, is to know your numbers. Write that down. Know your numbers. That's been our motto since the very beginning inside of the Business Lounge. And the reason for that is that most entrepreneurs, especially in the online space, are kind of flying blind. You know what I mean? Like, they don't really know. And listen, I was there too. There's no judgment. And the problem is you're not tracking, at least in our experience coaching thousands of people at this point, you're not really tracking your numbers. You don't know what's happening behind the scenes. And so you're just making guesses. And what I often hear, especially from our coaching clients, is, listen, Kim, I feel like, this offer's not selling because, the market has shifted, or people want something different, or I just have too many competitors. And feelings are helpful, right? Intuition is helpful. Knowing your people and kind of gauging where people are at, super valuable. But I always come back to, what are the numbers saying? Back it up with some data. When you know the numbers on what's happening behind the scenes in your business, when you know how many people land on your website or click on your social media post or download your lead magnet, visit your shop page, go through your sales page, book a discovery page, whatever page you're using on your website to sell people to, then you can easily diagnose the problem. And so, of course, I'm going to be talking in this episode specifically to online business owners, but this applies whether you have an offline business as well. That was our case when we first had our startup, and we merged the data from, what was happening on our website, what was happening on our email list, to how many people were calling the office and actually booking the service. And so we asked every single one of our customers, where did you find us? And then we tracked and merged and married the data that we had online to the data that we had offline. And that way we could make better decisions. And listen, before, a lot of people are like, I hate tracking numbers. This totally sucks. And it sucks if you don't have a system. But once you have a system and you can actually start making changes and seeing how it affects your cash flow, it starts becoming addictive. It starts becoming exciting. It starts becoming empowering, because now you actually know what's happening behind the scenes in your business. And then you can come in and pivot and say, okay, I'm going to run this campaign, or I'm going to send more traffic to my sales page through this mechanism or this method. And it starts becoming really exciting. So all this to say, it can be extremely empowering when you know your numbers, and it can make a huge difference. So if you don't know, this is the first question I get, or the pushback I get when I say, hey, you need to know your numbers, is people will be like, I don't even know where to find numbers. I don't know what I need to be tracking. And I also don't know if it's good or bad. So I don't have benchmarks. And I also don't know where to even find my numbers. Listen, we're going to make it super simple and we're going to break it all down. So I'm going to give you 5 metrics that you should be tracking no matter what business you have, okay? If you're doing any kind of online marketing, here are the 5 basic metrics every entrepreneur needs to track. Number 1, you need to track website traffic. How many people are coming to your website every single month, as well as how many page views are you getting? So those are 2 different metrics, right? So your traffic numbers in general will break down, usually like a tool like Google Analytics will tell you, hey, this is how many unique visitors you received, or how many users, right? Versus how many pages those people clicked on. And so those are 2 different numbers. You always want to be tracking how many people landed on your website, but also how many pages were actually viewed. And that gives you an idea for activity. There's tons of other metrics that you could be tracking, but those are the 2 basic ones. Now, a bonus on the traffic side is which pages are getting the most amount of views, right? How many people are landing on your blog page, on your homepage, on your sales pages, on your lead magnet pages. That is really helpful to see because maybe you can say, okay, so February, maybe you noticed that your sales went down significantly. The first thing I would check is how is your sales page doing? If you have a sales page, how is your discovery page doing? Were there any differences in the traffic that you got in January versus the traffic that you got in February, right? If there's no differences, then you might actually say, okay, well, let's look deeper into the numbers. Was it that we didn't put enough people through our sales funnel? Like, did we not add enough subscribers? Did we not promote this offer enough? What's going on that might be turning people off from this page if you had the same amount of traffic? And so little things like that can really empower you, not to mention if you know where people are landing, like the majority of websites, they get the most amount of hits on your homepage. But if you have blogs or podcasts or videos that you're publishing on your website as well, oftentimes if you're doing SEO, those pages can actually receive way more traffic than even your homepage. The second one that's really important is how many email subscribers are you adding to your list every single month? I cannot tell you how many people come to us so frustrated because they're like, I'm not making progress. I've tried all the courses. I've gone through all the programs. I've done all the coaching, and I just don't know what's wrong. And I will immediately ask, okay, how big is your email list? And they'll be like, well, I really haven't spent a lot of time building my email list. I'm like, listen, you're an online business. What are you doing? So they'll tell me, well, I have like 300 or 400 or I have 1,500 people on my list. And then I will ask, okay, how much are you making every month? And usually they're making around the same amount every single month that they have email subscribers. And I say, hey, listen, this is an important benchmark for everyone to know. If you want to increase your cash flow, if you want to increase the amount of money that you're making every single month, you need to increase the amount of subscribers that you have on your email list. You need to build the relationship with those people, and you need to be sending emails. So important. If most entrepreneurs in the online space did those three things, they would see their sales skyrocket. Seriously. So if your next milestone, the benchmark here that's important to know is that for every subscriber that you add to your email list, you should be making an average of $1 per month. Okay? 1 email subscriber, $1 a month. 2 email subscribers, $2 a month. 10,000 email subscribers, $10,000 a month. That's more or less the benchmark, right? Depending on your niche and your industry, this can shift and change. So right now in our coaching program, we have someone who's making, this is crazy, who's making about $10 per subscriber per month. She's 10xing the value that most people get out of their subscribers. And she has a very, very lucrative business with a very small targeted email list. So it's not to say that you need a huge email list to hit your numbers, but on average, that's usually where, we see things flow. Okay, third metric that you need to be tracking is your audience growth on your social media accounts. So if you have Pinterest, you want to track that. If you have Instagram, you want to track that. You want to see how Twitter is doing, how your YouTube is doing. And then also you want to track things like podcast downloads or blog traffic, right? If you have a blog, or YouTube views if you're on YouTube. So you want to check both your long form content platforms and your short form content platforms. Now, not all of these are going to have subscriber counts, right? Like podcasts, you don't really have subscriber counts, that you have downloads. And so for some of these, you're going to have to substitute the metric and track it a little bit differently. But all in all, you want to see audience growth, right? So we've talked about traffic, we talked about email subscribers, we talked about audience growth. The fourth one, it's kind of obvious, but you'd be surprised how few people actually track this. And I get it. There's so many things to do in business, but one thing that I think would be so empowering is for you to track revenue every single month and book like a Friday every month and like take 15 minutes to figure out how much you made that specific month. If you have a really great software tool that can track this for you, that's even better. So we use Samcart, but there's tons of other tools, like maybe you use the QuickBooks or you use HoneyBook or whatever tool is tracking and invoicing your clients, that can be super helpful to just have an idea of where you're at numbers wise. I think this is something everyone should be tracking. I personally track it every day because I'm kind of obsessed with my numbers and I want to see how many sales we made. But having a tool that really helps you track that is so, so beneficial. Now, the fifth metric is going to vary depending on what kind of business you have. But this one, in my opinion, is super, super helpful, and that's leads. Now, if you have a service-based business and you know clearly the difference between your general email subscribers and people who actually reach out to you because they're interested in booking your service, you know the difference between maybe a subscriber and a hot lead within that group of audience that might be excited about what you are offering. But if you don't have a service-based business, then it can become a little bit, weird to track this. And so you're going to have to decide, do you want to track this at all? Does it matter to you? Is it something that you actually want to figure out in your business? So if you have a course-based business or a membership, you can decide, okay, so maybe the amount of leads that you get every single month, might be different from your subscribers because these are people who maybe joined your list, but also expressed interest in, product X, Y, or Z. Now, if you have a shop, right, so you sell physical products, in this case, I think a really great metric to look at is your average cart conversion rate or your abandonment rate. And this can be hard to see, but on average, about 80% of the people who land on your checkout page never complete their purchase, right? So life gets in the way, they get distracted, or they're just kind of using the checkout as a way of saving some of the products that they're excited about. And there's many ways that you could fix this and improve your conversion rate on your checkout page, but it is a good metric to actually track when you have a shop. It gives you an idea of, how many sales you could potentially recover every single month. All right, fam. So now that we have a clear idea of what your numbers are, or at least what you should be tracking, let's talk about where to find this data, where to find your numbers. And so this is going to depend based on your tool stack. For us, our tool stack looks a little bit like this. We have a WordPress website where all of our landing pages and our sales pages live, and we use a email marketing tool called ConvertKit. So we have WordPress, we have ConvertKit as our email marketing tool, and then we have our checkout page /CRM, and that's called Samcart, right? We already talked a little bit about that. So between those three places, we usually find our traffic data in a plugin that's called WP Statistics. I'm going to link that for you in the notes for this show. You can find all of that in the blog. So see all the resources and everything's clickable. And WP Statistics is a really cool plugin. It's free. There's also a paid version. We have the paid version. I think it's totally worth it. But you could also use a tool like Google Analytics. That's also a free tool to track your traffic, whether you have a WordPress site or you have something like Shopify or Squarespace. It's really helpful to have those analytics. Now, if you're on one of those other tools like Shopify or Squarespace, most of those tools also have built-in metrics that they can give you. So do a little digging, do a little exploring, log into your website, see where you can find metrics, chat their support if you need to. Just go ahead and ask, and they might be able to recommend either where to find that data or how to actually access it through a third-party tool. Now, you can also, for us, really helpful to see our email marketing metrics. Now, most tools like MailerLite or MailChimp, which we don't recommend, by the way, ConvertKit, Klaviyo, ActiveCampaign, so many different email marketing tools, they will give you tons and tons of data. So you should be able to see easily how many people are being added to your email list, as well as what specific lead magnets they're downloading. For us, that is a very easy process. I love ConvertKit for this reason because they give us all of the data. And then we can actually track, how many people landed on our sales pages and how many people landed on our checkout pages by merging the data from our traffic, right? Because our sales pages are hosted on our website. We can go into WP Statistics or into Google Analytics and see, okay, how many people landed on this specific page during this time period, as well as we go into Samcart, who hosts our checkout pages. And for you, maybe that's your Shopify store, maybe it's Thrivecart, maybe it's some other tool. And we can see tons. One of the reasons I love Samcart is because it gives us so much data. We could see how many people actually landed on all our checkout pages, which ones got the most amount of traffic, how many people converted, what the conversion rate was, all there in the dashboard. And it's beautiful and so easy to see. So that's kind of how we merge our numbers, and we will track everything in a nice, beautiful spreadsheet. In fact, if you're part of the Business Lounge, we have an entire progress tracker for you to track all your marketing metrics and break it down by week and by month and by year. So definitely check that out if you're part of the membership. Okay, so we have talked about what metrics to track, where to find that data, and how to actually put it together in like a spreadsheet or some kind of document that you can keep handy. This is the perfect thing to delegate to a VA if you have one, by the way. First, make sure that you set it up how you want it set up, and then delegate it, because you don't need to be the one tracking all these things. Okay, so we've got the numbers part figured out. Now let's go ahead and diagnose your sales process and track with me. I know this is nerdy. I know this can be a little bit overwhelming. When I usually present this, a lot of people's eyes glaze over, but you're doing great. Okay. We're going to talk about all the details. And I wanted to show you a graph from our Funnels Bootcamp that we hosted this month that was super helpful for a lot of people to kind of assess where they're at. So now that we have, again, those numbers, we're tracking things, it's really helpful to know like how you're doing, like where are you at? And is it good? Like, is your conversion rate good for the different areas in your business, right? The areas in your sales process. So if you have like a very, very simple sales process where maybe people just land on your website and they book your service through a discovery call and that's it, you have a little bit less to track. But if you have more of a robust funnel and you have things like lead magnets and intro offers and upsells and downsells and cross sells like we do, it can be a little bit more daunting to figure out like where are you at. So I wanted to show you some very helpful benchmarks, and you'll see here in this table that we have the different funnel steps here on the left-hand side, and then conversion rates based on how experienced you are. So when you first get started and maybe you have your lead magnet, you're looking at about a 10 to 20% average conversion rate. That's about how much people convert, when they're just getting started. Then a really good or a good conversion rate would be 20 to 30. Excellent would be 30 to 40, and pro level is 70 plus. Okay, so we want to be in this category as much as we can. And if you're not in the Business Lounge or part of our Funnels Bootcamp, get your booty there, because we talk about all these advanced things and so much more inside of those events and in the membership. Okay, let's talk about email open rates. Very helpful. Now, it's great to track this. You don't have to track it for every campaign or every email that you send, but it's good to keep an eye on, right? And when you are trying to figure out, okay, what's broken in my funnel? Why aren't people buying? You want to see if you have an email sequence attached to that sales process or that funnel. Are people opening your emails? Because they might just not be opening your emails. And then you just need to have better subject lines and get people to open them and click on your email more so they go to your sales page or book your service. So average conversion rate, 10 to 15% open rate. Good conversion rate, 15 to 20. Excellent conversion rate, 20 to 30. Pro level, 50 plus. Okay, so good to know here. Now, again, guys, these are just benchmarks, okay? These range dramatically from industry to industry. Everyone has different numbers, but this is kind of giving you a baseline. Email click-through rates, also super important. So your average conversion on your click-through rate is 1 to 3%. Good conversions would be 3 to 5%. And by the way, these are based on click-to-open rate, meaning only the people who opened the email, 1 to 3% of those people is an average conversion, because a lot of tools will track it through your, like how many people you sent the email to. So if they don't open the email, they're not going to click the email. And so it's important to differentiate here. Okay, so good conversion rate, 3 to 5, excellent conversion, 5 to 10. And if you get more than 10% click-through rate, listen, go you. That's amazing. Sales page conversions. So the average conversion is 1 to 3% on a sales page when you're just getting started. Good conversion, 3 to 5%, excellent, 5 to 10, and pro level, 20 to 35 plus. Okay, so we always want to hit this number here, but it's okay if you start around here and then work your way up. Checkout and cart page. See how, this is what I mean, guys. Most of our cart traffic is just abandoning. And there's many things you can do to improve this. One of them being, I know this is not sponsored by Samcart. They're not sponsored. We are partnered with them, and I will share my affiliate link with you guys below. But this is a tool I love and use and have been on since 2015, like 9 years. And I love it. I'm not going to get off because it's fantastic. It really does help us increase conversions, and I'm all about it. So average conversion, 1 to 3%, good conversion, 3 to 5%, excellent, 10 to 20, 20 to 35 plus is a pro level conversion. And so again, guys, these are just some places to start, a baseline. I can already hear some of the marketers trying to debate me in the comments. Go share your own video about conversion rates, okay? Just it's all good. It's all good. We all have different approaches, but this is where I would really recommend that you're at. So for example, again, going back to what your sales process might be, if you have something very simple, like people find you on social media and then they click on your sales page, your shop, your discovery call page, or your website, and then you book a customer, right? Maybe like there's a discovery call and then you pitch them on the call and you make a sale. That's a pretty straightforward situation. So maybe you notice that you're getting fewer sales for your service, or fewer people are booking a discovery call. You want to make sure that you go back and you're like, are people landing on my sales page? Are they landing on my discovery call page? If they're not, right? Go back and see your metrics like from the previous month or the previous quarter and see how they match up to where you're at now. If they don't, and you got a bunch more traffic, let's say the month before, what you want to do is look at, okay, where did that traffic come from? Did it come from Instagram? Did it come from, YouTube? Did it come from SEO? Did it come from an email? And you have an idea of what you need to be doing more of to get that traffic back up. So you can say, oh, so I sent that email campaign. That's right. I forgot about that. And that actually got some people to book a discovery call with me. I need to do that again this month. Or you could say, oh my gosh, like it looks like a bunch of my traffic was coming from Instagram and their algorithm shifted for the 30 millionth time. So I need to supplement that traffic with maybe a different platform, or I need to show up more consistently on Instagram, right? So that way you can have an idea and empower yourself with like what to do. Remember, most of the time, there's simple fixes to your sales process. It's not this like, I have to scrap everything and start over. You're looking for clues, you're looking for ideas, and you look at what is not working and you make small tweaks, right? It might just be that you're not converting, as many people as you used to on your lead magnet page. And so you make a couple tweaks, a couple changes, or you go in the business lounge and you go through the 7 elements of a highly converting lead magnet page training, and you make some changes, you increase your conversions, and then you start seeing your lead flow go up in your funnel and you're making more sales. So I know this sounds a little complicated. I know there's multiple steps to it, but when you learn this stuff and you really empower yourself, the sky's the limit, because you can fix any problem in your sales process. You can boost your cash flow when you need to, and you can make sure that you have all the tools in place to prosper and be profitable for the long term. That's why it's such a huge game changer when you track your numbers, when you understand benchmarks, and when you know how to fix things that are not working in your business so you can bump up that cash flow, serve more clients, and make a bigger impact. So listen, familia, I hope that this walkthrough was helpful. If it was, would you let me know? If you're watching this on YouTube, I would love to hear from you in the comments section below. I hope this served you, and until next time, I'm sending you a big beso. Bye for now.